Mm. Is there some steps for people that are beginning and really realizing the importance of living with an open heart and living from the heart in the heart? Is there maybe some meditation or some thoughts or some ways or some things that we can do on a daily basis that you recommend to start this process?
Well, in the book that I wrote, The Living in the Heart, it does give methods, and there are many of these, of ways of getting into the heart. Uh, Jesus had his way of doing it and described it, and there were others. Um, the Kogi out of Colombia, they have their way, and we've identified about 4 or 5 ways, but there may be others. And you can just by pure desire, by actually, but it is a leaving. You have to leave the brain. You can't be in your brain and be in your heart at the same time.
Mm.
You have to actually make a transition. There's a movement that has to take place. If you're just sitting in your brain thinking you're in your heart, that's just imagination, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But if somebody really wants to find their way into their heart, if they really want to, they will. And once they're in there, the secret to ascension and to everything and that's coming upon us right now, if you believe any of the prophecies that are about to take place, it's really then very, very, very simple. All you do is connect your heart that you're in to the heart of the earth and to the heart of the sun, and it puts a vibration in you, a very specific vibration that happens to also be permeated inside of the brain. There's a vibration in there that is talked about even thousands of years ago, and those vibrations are either the same or they're in harmony with each other. And if you connect your heart to the heart of the earth and you really love her, I mean, really love your mother, and you really love your divine father, the sun, and all the rest of creation, this vibration that is put in you, it is the only thing you need in this transition. You don't need anything else. It doesn't matter where you are on Earth or what it is. Mother Earth will keep you alive during the transition because of that vibration. She knows it, she recognizes it, and those are the people that will survive and go on as humanity in the future. Those that are still in their brains they're going to survive also. God is in everyone, so we don't throw people away. But they're going to take a different pathway, and it's okay too. It's just a different pathway.
So
But
it's a serious proposition.
yes, it
It's
is.
seriously important.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's so easy. It just requires love. It has to be real love. It can't be just something you're making up or faking. But if you really can love the earth and really can love all of creation, uh, you're home free.
Mm-hmm. How do you describe ascension?
Well, ascension has many different uh, people have many different ideas about what that is and what it means. Um, it's kind of like the word God. Every single person has a different idea of who God is or what it is. Some feel God is male. Some feel that she's female. Some feel that God has no sex whatsoever. And some feel that God has a name. Some feel that God can't have a name because name is vibration and outside of that possibility. And so it's the same way for me. Ascension is on a real simple, easy way of talking about it. It's simply moving from the heart, from the brain to the heart, because that was when we fell. That's all we did. We moved from the heart to the brain. We went out of phase with reality. And so that's all it is on one level. You can also speak about it as moving through the dimensional levels and moving from the third to the fourth to the fifth, etc. And many people talk about it in that kind of way. It is a process. It doesn't ever seem to have an end. From Melchizedek point of view, we know that there are there's about 100,000, a little more than 100,000 different ways of interpreting the one reality. There just is one reality. It just is whatever is out there. That's what's there. But there's a lot of ways of perceiving it. And ascension can be seen as moving up those different levels of of perceiving the one reality. And
for you, the religions too are gonna, people from different religious background are gonna realize that we're all living that same reality as well.
well, I think that the different religions are probably going to be, if you're really coming from one of those places, uh, uh, they can get you through this. But I think that once we are through it, it's going to be a pretty shocking thing for most people to realize that the belief patterns that religions have imposed upon us are not necessarily connected to the reality. The reality is what it is, and we cannot change that. And a lot of these belief patterns do not fit into the truth. And so, but still, uh, it won't matter. We're all going to get out of this just fine. I mean, all life is going to make it through this transition. But this is a big transition, and we are in the middle of it right now. It's becoming pretty obvious. You know, for anybody out there just watching the world of the way the events are unfolding, and the speed at which they are unfolding, and the dramatic possibilities of some of these things. I mean, like this oil spill right now that's occurring, that could potentially be huge. I mean, it only takes 1 quart of oil to kill and poison 250,000 gallons of ocean. And if that oil gets into the Gulf Stream, which it very well might, because it's very near where this is, if it gets into the Gulf Stream and moves into the Atlantic Ocean, that will probably be the end of the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is on the verge of dying already. It's just about dead. It's getting close. Jacques Cousteau was the one who first scientifically said this. The Mediterranean is dead. There's hardly any life in there at all. And this would just about do it. Well, if that were to happen, if that even close, we are the top of the food chain, and we can't live without the oceans. It would be the beginning of the end. And so, but there are a lot of things going on in our worlds right now. Environmentally, there's over 70 different scenarios, and we're not even aware of most of these scenarios. They don't talk about them. But if any of them were to break down, our planet would begin to dissolve very quickly. And so we are at a time when we are kind of forced into thinking beyond where we are right now. We have to, and as the systems begin to break down more and more and more, I think it's going to, spirituality is probably going to be the most important subject on Earth, because it is the only thing we can do right now. If this continues, it might not. Things might get better. Let's hope they do. But at this moment, they are moving in a way that something is going to have to happen.
Yeah, and probably some amazing talent and creativity and concepts are going to emerge out of this. Like magical, probably. I mean, some things that we can't even probably see right now.
Well, yeah, I think so. I would love to talk about some of the stuff that we know is happening, but I can't go into this stuff right now. Our government is actually wanting to know more about this themselves. But this is a much bigger world than we know. There is more life here than we even imagine, and science is just beginning to find out about it. Just since 2009, they begin to become aware that there is far more life forms on this earth than they ever knew, and we have beings that are here on Earth as well as people that are off of Earth that really do care about us and really love us. And it's not like the Greys and the reptiles where they're trying to kill us and do all these weird things to us. Yeah, that's true. But those guys are always doing this every single time. Most of life really does love us. And when it really comes down to it, and when we really need them, we're going to find that they're there for us.
Like angels?
Angels are one level. That level, oh, they've always been with us. They love us. We people don't know this, but I'll say it anyway. Every human being actually is an angel. They have a part of themselves, a part of their consciousness that is a part that cannot be separated from who we are, that lives on those levels. That is an angel. In fact, we have two. In order to come from a from a unity consciousness where there is not polarity into a world where there is polarity, you have to divide your spirit into two.
Mm-hmm.
And one male and one female. You split it into those two things. Everybody's done this. They don't know they have another counterpart running around on the earth. You know, people call it soulmates, call it all kinds of things, but it's just you. And you also have two aspects of angels that are on another level, and they're watching like crazy what's going on with you because they love you and they want to make sure that you get through this and you're okay. But there are levels higher than that, much higher than that are watching what's going on here, and really do care and have tremendous power, unbelievable power. They're all been leaving us alone because it's illegal to interfere at the wrong time. There's a certain time when they can, but right now they can't. And but we are very rapidly approaching the time when they will. And this is part of the Mayan prophecy, is that the Mayan prophecy talks about a pole shift and huge destruction on the earth and massive changes and earth changes and everything. And yeah, that probably will happen. Even our science believes this is going to occur now. But afterwards, when we make this transition into another level of human potential, what the Mayans predict is that our quarantine here on Earth is ended, and that we are able, that beings from all over the universe are able to come here and speak with us and talk to us, and a whole nother level. I guess it's like the Men in Black kind of thing. I don't know, but
How far away is that?
Well, literally, it could happen today. I mean, we know exactly what the procedure is. Science knows exactly what the procedure is too. At this point, it's not unknown. The first thing that everybody has to watch for is what's going on with the magnetic field. This is the first procedure thing, so they can actually see what's about to happen. And the magnetic field, since in 2003, it was getting so weak that NOVA made a program, an hour-long program with different scientists that studied these things. And they said at that time that they believe that the North and South Pole are going to reverse themselves, that the North Pole, magnetic pole, will become the South and South will become the North. And that, but they didn't think this was going to happen for maybe sometime this century. And then about a year and a half or so ago, they went on the internet and they said, it's much worse than we thought. This was, a few years later. They only got 11 days before the government shut them down, wouldn't let them speak about it anymore. But they said it's getting much weaker, much faster than we thought. And we now say that it's going to happen within 25 years. And then they came on a few months ago for about 5 days before they were shut down and said, this is going way faster than we thought. This could happen any minute. And what they're talking about is the energy comes out of the South Pole, and the lines come out, and then they wrap around the entire planet and come in at the north. Well, the lines
like
at the
a human body.
Yeah, they go around and they come back in. But the lines coming out the South Pole there's these huge areas that are forming, and the lines are wrapping right back into the Earth. And so, which is making the field weaker and weaker. Well, if suddenly the whole thing does that, then it shuts the magnetics off. And that's the first huge step. And once that happens, you've only got about 14 days. Science knows this. It's not just spirituality. Science knows that 14 days, maybe 21. And then you're going to have a physical pole shift of the Earth, which is huge. There probably won't be hardly a building left standing on Earth if this is true. And then directly after that, and during that time, is a transition where we move into another level of existence, where the problems that were faced at that point are not problems anymore. We know exactly how to solve these problems, and we have everything within us. And at which point, at that point, that's when we uh, literally are no longer human. We're human, we look human, but our interpretation of everything and what we believe everything is completely changes. And that is the point where we are then able to see and understand the other levels of life, the ETs and the ITs that are here. And
So it's more like a dream world. We create, we see things, we just.
the fourth dimension is very much like a dream world. So is this one, but we just don't know it. We're creating everything here too, but the time response is slower. When we move into the fourth dimension, it's instantaneous. Everything that we see, we're doing it. We're creating it. And that's a problem because, at first, because if you step in there and you don't understand that you are doing it, and you think it's just happening, uh, uh, many scenarios could happen. For one, you usually go into fear if you don't know you're doing it, and then your fears manifest in the outer world, and then it throws you back into the third dimensional world where you can't go back. And so life is already set up for that. They're already prepared for it. They know exactly what they're going to do for people that are in those levels, and they will be brought to they themselves. This is the Hopi and the American Indian prophecy. They say that almost all the people on Earth will go back to where they came from before they came to Earth. That's what they believe. At which point, the reason they're doing that is so that they can be in a familiar place to make these kind of transitions, and not in a world that they don't really truly understand. And the American Indian prophecies and the prophecies from the indigenous people around the world are quite extraordinary on what they say. It verges on what we would call science fiction. But at the same time, they all agree, all over the world, which is so amazing, whether you go to Africa or New Zealand or the Polynesian and all over. They have the same belief as to what is about to happen in the transition that we're about to go through. It's only the industrialized world, which is most of the humanity. We don't know what's going on. We have no idea. We're really lost in all of this.
Would you, Drunvalo, it was so amazing speaking with you. It took 45 minutes later, we're still here talking, and I'm enjoying this very, very much. And of course, telling everybody, that you have wonderful seminars all around the world, and 4 books that are out, and there's many, many ways to learn more about your teaching. So, but would you have a last little message or something to say to us before we finish this interview?
Well,
This conversation.
at this transition that we are in and that we're all about to go through, is a thing of beauty. I know it has turbulent areas in it, in the whole thing, but if you just believe in yourself and believe in God and your connection to all life everywhere, and just trust in yourself, this transition is going to be fantastic. It's a time to celebrate, not to go into fear. And just don't be afraid, and just go with open eyes, and we're about to do something just amazing. And it's simple, like I said. You just connect your heart to the heart of the earth, the heart of the sun, and sit back and relax and watch the movie, because you don't have to have anything to worry about if you do that. I truly, truly believe this is true.
Thank you. Thank you, and I hope to interview you again very soon. And if there's some great news that you need to share out with a lot of people throughout the internet and via video, let me know, and I'll be happy to do this again.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.